Hello, friends, and welcome. It's quite cold outside, so it's a perfect day to make a winter craft. And today we're making Dollar Tree snowmen. Let's begin with this simple chenille snowman. So I wanted to show you the yarn here that Dollar Tree carries. It's really nice. They carry this chenille. It says just chenille on it, and it's perfect. There's a good amount of yarn here in each little skein. So they have it in pink and blue and gray, lots of different colors. We're going to be using the white to make our snowman. To begin with, you're going to need to cut a piece of cardboard out. The width doesn't necessarily matter. Just want to have it, as wide as your hand or so. But the length needs to be 7 inches here. This is the way we're going to roll our yarn on so that we can make a snowman. So you'll take your chenille yarn, and you're going to start it. And what you want to do is wrap it. You should get about 30 wraps in. So we're going to wrap this about 30 times all around this cardboard here. And when we're done, we're going to be able to make a really cute snowman out of it. Kind of keep it a little bit straight on each other, and then you'll go back and make a second layer and then another layer. And when you've got that wrapped around there about 30 times, you want to cut a length of material and run it right here underneath. You're going to tie it off right up here at the top and then down there at the bottom. Do it in a double knot there and trim your ends. I'm going to do the same thing there on the bottom. At this point, I just like to go ahead and slide my cardboard out so I can pull that down the full length there and tie this side off. Nice and tight, double knotted, and cut off the extras. So now that you've got it tied at the top and the bottom, slipped it off of your cardboard, we're going to come back in and tie off in 2 more places. We're going to tie a place here where his head would be. Trim those ends. Then come down and do the very same thing to create a middle section. We have a little snowman here. Just got to straighten out the strings a little bit. And then we're going to decorate him. More embellishing. That's what we like to do. Now for this snowman here, I'm going to do a little orange pipe cleaner nose. I didn't have any black buttons, but I'm going to color these buttons in with a black permanent marker. So we'll have some black eyes. And then I thought we could use this foam sheet to make his little arms off to the side. So we just got to cut out some arms and place them on there. I'm going to color up these eyes and put them on. It's simple. If you don't have something in a color that you need, a lot of times it's just a matter of taking a permanent marker and making it the color that you need it to be. And just like this, we're going to have black button eyes. I do it this way so I just don't get black marker all over my hands. Because I know when I paint, I certainly get paint all over my hands. Now for the nose, just going to cut off a little piece here. And that'll be his little carrot nose. So I'm just going to cut a little shape here. We're going to make his arms just about like this. I think that might be good. I'm going to do one for the other side. Same thing again. Kind of flare out at the top. Cut it across. And just cut that center out. And there we go. We have two little snowman arms. So I think those eyes are dry. I'm going to go ahead and attach these to the snowman. So here we have our snowman. He's got his button eyes that we painted black, his little arms there that are out of the foam sheet, and his pipe cleaner orange nose. Now this snowman, I think that we should use some cute flannel material, and we're going to make him a little toboggan, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to put a toboggan here on this little snowman. What you want to do is make sure that your material width, and this is about the perfect width, it's going to go there right around the head and meet up. So once you make it, you want that to go right on his head like that. So that's about the perfect width that we will need. So we're going to come up a little bit and cut higher, because we can cut that off once we put it on our snowman. And we're just going to almost hem it. I kind of like this side better than I do the more furry side here. So I'm going to use this as the outside. So what I want to do is just come right along this edge, and as if I'm making a hem there, I'm going to bring the little snowman's hat around there and attach it. We ended up kind of with a hem there on his hat. And you can see how that turned out. Looks a little fluffier down here on the bottom. That's what'll go on his head. So we're pretty much just going to put the head right in there with the toboggan on it. There we go. Now you just gather up the rest of the hat above up here, and we're just going to tie that off. Then it's going to be the cutest little toboggan hat. I don't know if you can see what I'm meaning when I do this, but once I get it all put together, you'll see what I'm talking about. So the first thing we're going to do is seal up the back of our hat as well. Just come right through there, seal that right in as if it's a hem. Let's turn up the bottom part of our hat and glue that so it will stay in place when we put it on our snowman's head. Glue guns are awesome. You don't have to sew anymore. Okay, so now we've got the brim of our hat there. A little bit more glue right there. Make sure your seam is in the back and put it on your snowman's head. Just like that. Now at this point, it's best to go in and just attach that with some glue so it doesn't come off when you're preparing the top. Just a couple places around. A little bit of glue there to hold it in place. Okay, now, there we go. Now what I was trying to explain earlier is when you pull it up here, when you go up here to gather it all here at the top, then it's going to end up looking like a real toboggan. So we're going to get some string and tie this off right here. Just going to slip that under there. Just gather that cute little hat right up. Double knot that. And you come back through, snip off the top of that material. Also those end pieces. Got a little toboggan there on your snowman. Now you could decorate the top by just cutting it here, but this material seems to be shedding pretty badly. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut just a cute little bobbin top right there of his toboggan, because it's really fraying bad. There we go. So now this snowman has his little toboggan on, and we'll keep embellishing him. He'll need a scarf probably, maybe some more buttons, but that's the fun part. So here we have the snowman. I've completely embellished him. I had these in my Christmas crafts. I had a bunch of these little Christmas lights. So I just strung several of them on one little strand there for our snowman to be holding as if he's getting ready to decorate the tree. Now let's move on with a styrofoam snowman. Now to get started, I've chosen 2 sizes of these little foam balls. This is what we're going to be covering to make our snowman. So I've got the hot glue ready, and all we want to do is just start wrapping each of these balls in this cute white chenille yarn from Dollar Tree. Just put a little dab of glue on there to get you started. And then you just start wrapping right around that whole little styrofoam ball. I don't think my glue is quite hot, but you get it around there, you just glue it in a couple different places, and you just keep wrapping. You don't need a lot of glue, but I'm going to make sure that it holds in place there when you put it all together. And just keep gluing that all the way around until you get that 1/2 side done. You get there in the center, just want to top that right off and trim your ends. Then you turn it over and you do the same thing on the other side. Okay, there we have our little snowman head. We're going to do the very same thing to the bottom of the snowman, and when we're finished, we'll be able to glue them together. We'll have a cute little snowman ornament. So we've got both balls completed here, covered in that pretty little chenille yarn that you get from Dollar Tree. Now what we want to do now is glue the head to the body. A generous amount of glue there to hold this. You might want to be hanging it on your tree. Then you just pop that head right on there. And now the fun part starts. We've got the head glued to the body, and we get to start embellishing. And you know the Southern Sisters, that's their favorite part, is the embellishing. I was going along decorating my little snowman's face. Decided to use some wiggle eyes. The thought hit me, for his nose, why don't I use a golf tee, cut that end off, and then that would be his little nose. We'll color that orange and use that for his nose. It colors really well. Don't even have to get out the paint. Just cover it with a permanent marker. And you want to cover it before you cut it, so you'll have something to hold on to make sure you get the whole in there in a good color of orange there. Well, this little snowman's going to be basically a typical snowman. Except I don't think I've ever put wiggle eyes on a real snowman out in the snowstorm before. Okay, so now that's a perfect little carrot nose. Okay, here's some progress so far with our little snowman. I think that worked really well for his nose. Now I wanted to show you a little trick there. We're going to do the little scarf around his neck. I like this fabric here. It kind of looks like a scarf, and you can pretty much just tie it once you cut a strip. So we're just going to cut a strip right here off the end. I think I want the blue pretty much just tie it as if you're tying a scarf right around your own neck. Put that scarf right around our little snowman's neck. And just not that often have the two pieces hang down. There you go. And you can always just kind of glue it right there in a couple of places. And just put those right down. So we have our little snowman just about ready. I think the golf tee worked perfect for his little nose. We've got his scarf on, and now he needs a hat. So I've got a trick to show you just how simple it is to make a hat for this snowman, and we don't need anything but some black construction paper. So let me show you how that works. Well, I have black cardstock, but you could use construction paper. Either one would work fine. And you just need something with a series of circles. So I figure the bottom of this cup could be a perfect size for the brim of the little snowman's hat. So I'm going to make one circle the size of the bottom, and then the top of his hat would be perfect this size. So I'm going to make another circle the size of the bottom of the cup. So we're going to make two circles and cut them out. And of course the brim would be larger than the top of the hat. Okay, so I have both circles cut out. One is the brim of the hat, one is the top of the hat. So the other thing we need to do now is just combine the two together. That's with just one long strip. Okay, so we have the strip that's going to be the hat. We have both circles. We have the brim and the top of the hat. So what I want to do is just connect this part of the hat to the top of the hat here. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right around the edge of the hat. And start sitting this piece that we made right on top. Now we're going to glue it all the way around this circle. Okay, so we have our little top of our hat done. The only thing we have to do now is glue it right to the bottom brim of the hat. And just run a little bit of glue right around here. And sit that down right there in the middle. Now you have a perfect little snowman hat. Now I should have done this in advance, but you really should cut right here out because we want it to go down on the snowman's head. I'm just going to come back in and slice some of that inside part of the hat off so it will sit down on our snowman's head, because we're pretty much only worried here about the brim. And those will just push up in the hat, and we can put it right on his head. And there, just like that, made a very simple snowman's hat. So I'm going to glue the hat on, and then we'll get to embellishing here in the area of the hat that's going to be seen. So here's our snowman. He's got his hat on that we made out of the construction paper. And I just put a little ribbon there around his hat that matches his cute little scarf that's around his neck. Now our snowman needs some arms. And all I did was go out in my yard and get some sticks to put for his arms. And being that this underneath here is a styrofoam ball, we just pretty much have to decide where we want it and then just stick the stick right in the styrofoam ball. There we go. And I think I'm just going to let him hold a cute little snowflake in his hand. So I'll attach that snowflake, and we might just be done with this cute snowman. And there we have it. Not very expensive, cute, simple, easy craft to make. Let's see if we can find another snowman to make. Pumpkins? Yes, this snowman is made from pumpkins. Now here's a clever idea to make a snowman. You can use these pumpkin little treat containers that they have out during Halloween. I had extra left over, and I thought, well, how cute. I think 3 of those would make a perfect little snowman. So that's what we're gonna do. So the first thing we want to do is cover these really, really well in a couple of coats of the Waverly chalk paint. Today I'm gonna be using plaster. First thing I wanna do is pull out these little green handles, because we're not going to need them for our snowman. I don't know if it would be easier to glue it together first and then paint it, or paint it and then glue it together. So why don't we paint it and then glue it together? So I've got my chalk paint here, and we're just going to start putting a really good coat around each one of these pumpkins. Well, we've got one coat on here. As you can see, that's not enough. I'm going to go ahead and put a second coat on there and let it keep drying until we get to where you can't see any of that green. So I've got 2 coats of paint on there on these Dollar Tree pumpkins. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue them together and then see if I need to add some more paint in some areas. But I'm going to get those on because I keep getting thrown off by the green inside. So once I cover that up, I think maybe it's not going to show that there's actually green on the outside. So I'm going to put them together with some glue here, and then we'll see if I need to touch up any more. So probably the best thing to do is put the glue on the bottom side. And when you glue them together, of course you want the face and the back. And then I noticed there's this little bit of writing down the front of the pumpkin there, on the back side of the pumpkin. This is on the front, this is on the back side. So what I'm going to do is choose somewhere right in the middle, and that's going to be the front of my snowman. So I'll pretty much line all the words up and all the faces up. This is probably going to go on my tier tray, and you're not going to see the faces in the back anyway. So that's the way I'm going to line it up. And we'll just put some glue right here on this part of the pumpkin. I think that looks pretty good, like a snowman. So now I think maybe I'll touch up a few places here and there with some more white paint, and we'll be ready to start doing our favorite thing, embellishing this pumpkin into a snowman. Now Dollar Tree had this little snowman hat on something. You can tell it was glued to something. So I'm always taking stuff apart from there and using pieces here and there in my crafting. And I had this, and I thought that might be the perfect addition to top off our snowman here that's made out of pumpkins. But what I want to do first is kind of the worst for wear here. These are mashed up, needs some black paint added back to it. So I'm going to just remove this and maybe touch it up a little bit. Make sure there's no white showing through and get some of that glitter off. And then I like the leaves and the berries. I think I want to change this ribbon though. So I'm going to touch that up, the black there, or where the white is showing on the black. And then we'll talk about a ribbon that we think might look good. So I touched up the hat very well with just a black marker. Could have also painted it, but the black marker did a fine job. And I wanted to replace the ribbon that was on it, so I'm going to replace it with this black and white checked ribbon. So I'm going to put that right around here. I might do a double one so it'll be a little bit wider. I'm going to attach that ribbon right there with a little bit of glue before I decide if I want to attach this greenery right back on there. And I think I probably will, because I do think it's cute. Let's just start the ribbon right here. And just go right right around that hat. There we go. And I did say I liked the leaves on here. I like the sparkly part, but these little balls are kind of mashed. So maybe I can use the leaves and then kind of freshen up the balls too with a red marker. Attach that leaf right back on there. I do like that. Right about where it was. I also like the fact that it stands up there. Like I said, I've only got one of these that's not mashed flat. I don't know if I can kind of smush them all back together to where they're a little more round again. I think I can. So I think I'm going to just get a red marker and touch up some of the white that's showing through. Okay, so I touched those up pretty good with the red marker. Sometimes when things are in storage, they do take a little bit of a beating, but it doesn't take much to bring them back to life. Okay, I like that. I'm kind of going for a black and white kind of theme here on my pumpkin. Now we are ready to put a ribbon or a scarf around our snowman's neck, and I thought it would be cute if it matched the one that was on his hat. So I've just got some more ribbon here. I'm going to tie this around. Looks pretty good. You can just trim those off. And have those pieces of his scarf hanging down. You can always just put a little dab of glue there to hold the scarf in place. There we go. I'm liking the way he's looking. Now I like the black and white that's going on and the little pop of red here, so we've got to put some arms on this snowman. And I was looking around trying to come up with something different because I like to show you different ways to use different items, or several ways to make snowman arms. So we've done sticks and we haven't done pipe cleaners. Now we had orange pipe cleaners, so don't ever let that discourage you from not using the color that you need. He would look funny with orange. So what I started to do was color this pipe cleaner just with my black marker. Now I was in the middle of doing that and was just going to put it on as black pipe cleaner, but I thought you deserved to see this hack. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to get the color pipe cleaner that you may need. Now go back to your piece of cardboard, just cut a little slit in each end. Then you'll take your pipe cleaner and thread it through that end. This is going to hold it while you color it. Then you just lay it down, start going over that with your marker, and voila, you've just changed an orange pipe cleaner into a black one. It's just simple. Sometimes you might not think of that, and how easy that was. I did not want to run to the store and buy pipe cleaners. So to get that one side done, just take it out, flip it over, put it back in, and color that other side. This is definitely crafting. Now, our snowman can have black arms. Now finish up both of these, color both of these pipe cleaners in the solid black, and I'll show you how we can make some snowman arms. I have to admit that was a pretty neat hack other than having black permanent marker on my hands, we now have pipe cleaners that were orange and are now black, and no one will even know. Now let's get some snowman arms made out of these pipe cleaners. I guess I'm really into showing everyone my hacks today, but I showed you how to change these pipe cleaners, change them into a different color, and of course I had the permanent marker all over my hands. Now another hack that I like to do is I keep disinfecting wipes beside my craft table, and when I make a mess of myself like I did with that permanent marker, I just come in with my little wipey there and clean right back up. I can get right back to crafting. I do use a lot of lotion in the evening after I do this, but I don't do this too often. But just a quick hack for you there to know that you can clean that mess right up off your hands if you keep your trusty wipes right beside you. Now it's time to make our snowman hands from our pipe cleaners. It's not too difficult. You want to make sure you're going to get it the size that you want the hands to be. I feel like that's probably a pretty good size. So we're going to cut that off right there. We want to get one for the other side that's pretty much the same size. We'll cut that off right there. And then usually the snowman, sometimes, you know, it's a three-forked hand, if that's what you call it. So I just take the pipe cleaner. I've got one there. I bring it around the middle one. And then I just make a third one right up here and cut that off. Show you one more time. This is the same arm that we used here. So you put your pipe cleaner that way to make your one. Then you're going to wrap the other one around, put it in between, and then it'll pull up to the other side to make the third one. And then you just snip that off. And there we have our little snowman hands. Plus I need to turn it around and see if those hands are actually the right size. I think they might be a little long. So it looks like I'm going to cut, I think I'm going to cut about this much off of each one, because once I turned it around and looked at it, it did look like it was just a little bit long. Measure up the other one. Now, let's see if you guys think that. Oh, I'm going to have to touch up my pumpkin. I'm getting black on it. Now, how's that look? I think that looks okay. So I'll go ahead and put that on. Just attach it with some glue. And then we've got a face to complete. So I cut a snowman face and some snowflakes out of vinyl on my Cricut machine. Now you do not have to have a Cricut to do this. They do have stickers that are snowman faces, as well as little snowflake stickers. Now we're needing a nose here, and I had found some Christmas lights in my craft stash, and one of them happened to be orange. So I thought, my goodness, how cute could that be if I would use that as a snowman nose. So the end just pops right off. We have this cute little perfect, what I think is going to be an adorable snowman nose right there. So what I want to do to attach it, being that there's a piece here, I don't want to have to cut that off. So I'm just going to poke a hole right there in that plastic where I want the nose to be. Then that part will just stick down in the hole. So let's do that. I'm going to find the center of my snowman face. Just take a sharp pair of scissors here, be able to poke that hole right down. So I believe the nose would look cute about right there. Like I said, this is just plastic, so hopefully this is just going to go right down in there. Big enough to put the bead in. So now all we have to do is put a little bit of glue here on our snowman nose. And just insert that right down into the hole that we made. Oops. He's wobbling on me. There we go. I love that little snowman nose. That's the perfect thing. A lot of times you just have to look around your crafts and think, what do I have that looks like a snowman nose? And I just happened upon that one and it turned out perfect. So the snowman is completed. I really like this one. I think it could go with a farmhouse decor theme. You know, it would look great on a tier tray. This may be one of my favorites. Here's a fun snowman made from a wine cork. Now we've made some snowmen today out of a lot of things, but we haven't made a snowman yet out of a cork. I've made angels out of a cork, never a snowman. I know if some of you drink wine, you'll have your own collection of corks, and this is a good way to use them. And we're going to file back right to our Waverly chalk paint in the plaster. I prefer the plaster. It's not such a stark white. It's kind of an off-white, and I really like it, an antique white. So that's what I'm going to paint this little cork with to get started. And while the cork body of the snowman is drying, I found this little round piece of wood. It's flat on the bottom. There's not a hole in the top. So I think that's going to go perfect on our little cork. This would be the snowman's head. So I'm going to take this wood piece and also paint it the same color that I'm painting the cork body. So both our cork and the little head that we're going to use on our snowman, the wood bead, are both dry. So now we're just going to attach that together. There we go. A little snowman head. Now you've probably seen people take a piece of a pipe cleaner and come down the side here and then put a little ball on each side, and it looks like your little snowman's wearing earmuffs. That's very, very cute. That's certainly an option that you can try. But today I want to show you something a little different that we're going to do with our snowman. And it's also going to still involve this blue pipe cleaner. And what I like to do is start at the back. We've got a little spot on our cork here, so this is going to be the back. And I'm just going to start, I want to leave room to put a face on the snowman, so I'm going to start about right here. I'm going to attach our pipe cleaner. And then we're just going to continue to wrap this pipe cleaner all the way up the snowman's head, and it's going to continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller, so it'll look like a really cute toboggan as we go up. So I'm just going to add some glue and start winding that pipe cleaner around this little snowman's head. You see how that's going? We get to the back, then we just start up to the next level. And we just keep going up. And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes to the top. Now all I did was glue a pom-pom on top of the toboggan. Now to finish off our snowman, let's put two little buttons there right down the front of these snowflake gems from Dollar Tree. Put one right up near the top. One further down the bottom. There we go. Now I'm going to see if I've got some little blue gems there to put right in the center of those snowflakes. I did have some blue gems, so I'm just going to peel a gem off, place it right in the middle of that snowflake. And then we just need one more. I do have this blue fine point marker, and I think I'm just going to just do that right there for our little snowman. Now for the nose, it's just another little toothpick thing here. We're just going to color this tip orange. Okay, so now we're just going to cut that tip right off. That will be the perfect size nose for our cork snowman. Make sure you cover that over. Protect the eyes. There we have a cute little snowman nose. I think that's going to work out perfectly. Drew the eyes in with a thin marker. Now we're just going to place that little piece of nose we made right there on the snowman's face. Just a little bit of glue. Let's apply that right on the snowman's face. I think that looks cute. Now finally, I'm just going to take some more chenille stem, wrap that right around the little snowman's neck. Wrap it around a couple of times. This is just going to be the scarf. Just wrap and wrap and wrap till we get here to the end. Oops, that loosened up on me. I'll wrap one more time. When we get here to the end, we're just going to twist our pipe cleaner. It's going to have that little snowman's scarf right there. I'm pretty pleased with this one. This one's my husband's favorite. So anyway, that's pretty cute. That's the completion of this snowman. Now for the ever popular snowman made with a craft stick. Did you know that you can make a cute snowman out of a popsicle stick? It's very simple. We're going to take our chalk paint, start coating right over this craft stick. I'm going to do both sides. We're going to need a hat for our snowman, and I want to show you a real simple way to make a hat here using this foam sheet. I've got it in black, and a hat is pretty much just a square basically a square on top of a long rectangle. So we'll cut it like this. Just get the basic shape down. And we can come in and trim it up if we think it needs it. But that's just a simple way to make a hat. A lot of times when you're drawing something or cutting something, if you break it down into shapes, it makes it a little bit easier. To me, this is a square here and then a rectangle down at the bottom. That's just what makes it easier for me. So before putting the face on our snowman, we do want to attach the hat. So that way you'll know about where to start your face. Okay, so we have that on. Now I'm going to show you how simple it is to do a face. Now what I'd like to do when I'm doing a face And it's just going to be a series of dots. There's going to be 2 dots for the eyes and dots for the snowman's mouth. So when I'm making dots, I just like to use this end of a paintbrush, because when you make a dot, you just dip that in the paint, and then if you look there, see, I just made a perfect dot. So it just makes a perfect dot as opposed to trying to paint a perfect dot. So use the tip of your paintbrush. Whoops, that one slid. And then you just touch it to your project and you end up with a perfect dot. Now the paint that I'm using is this Crafter Square in black from Dollar Tree. And what we're going to do is just use dots to make the basic part of our little snowman face. So we're going to dip one full time and put an eye. Then we're going to dip another full time and put the other eye. And you can look at them if they're a little bit different. I've got a little bit of a size difference there. Just dip more paint and just add another dot right on top of the first one. Then that way it still stays a good round shape. You see that? Now it's time to do the mouth. So it can be centered. I kind of just like pick a center section and put 1 dot for my center, and then it gets smaller as you go along if you don't re-dip. So I've got 1 dot there in the center, then I'm going to come up the side. So you see how that gets smaller? So we're going to do it again. I'm going to dip, and I've already done the first dot, so I'm going to do the first dot over here, then I'll do the other 2, which is less paint and less paint. Now, you see how that was simple to make the little snowman eyes and mouth with just the tip of your paintbrush making dots. Now for the carrot nose, I like to use a fine point Sharpie. This has been painted, so you don't have to worry about bleed through on the wood. And this is so much easier than trying to actually paint a carrot nose. So pretty much all a nose is a triangle. So we're just going to start over here, and we're going to draw our triangle that way. Then all we have to do is fill that in, and we've got a snowman nose. And there you have his face. Okay, so the mouth is dry. We just want to take our bow here, or our little scarf, and come around and just tie a scarf onto our little snowman. Now what I like to do is just put a little dollop of glue there on the back side so it'll hold it in place while you tie it. Now that'll hold it in place, and we can just bring it around here and tie it off on the side for our little scarf. And just double knot that. And we can let that be just a little bit longer. I think it's kind of cute to leave it a little bit long. That off. Maybe cut this one similar in length. Then I always kind of secure, if I can secure the ribbon to where it's going to stick in a cute place, I will secure it down and make it look cute. But first, let's attach our buttons on there, because the ribbon will go over a little bit on the button. So we can just space those buttons out. Put one down near the bottom. Not sure I'm too great at doing this upside down, but it's just glued on there. If it doesn't work out, I can always redo it. Okay, then we're going to put the second button on. There we go. Now that they're in place, I will come in and glue his scarf down. But a cute, neat trick I want to show you is we can actually, when it's a ribbon, sometimes you can just fray the ends to where it looks like fringe. And all you need is some type of a pick or something to pull those individual pieces of ribbon off. So I'm going to show you with a pick what I mean. Okay, I'll give you a closer look here, what I'm trying to explain, and you'll see what I'm trying to do. So I just like to come in and start pulling some ribbon strings out. And as you pull out, you'll notice that it's starting to look like a frayed scarf. You pull those strings out. This is a cute idea to do for snowmen, because you know a lot of scarves do have some fringe on the end, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're pretty much turning the ribbon into some fringe. Yeah, you can see that. Then you just trim off those spare pieces, but I think I'm going to go a little bit higher, and I'm going to do both of them, and I'll show you what it looks like. Now there you can see where I did make some fringe there on the end of our little ribbon that's making the snowman's scarf. I've used this technique quite a bit. It does look better on a ribbon that doesn't have print on it, but I still wanted to put it on here. But when you have a plain ribbon, it turns out much prettier. But I've used this technique many times in the summertime. On one of my summer videos, I used it to fray the ends of a little beach blanket. It looked like a beach towel. And in my fall house makeover, I used this fringe technique on some burlap to put a rug at the front of our fall house door. So I use this technique quite a bit. I think it's cute. It's an added fun little element. Now all I want to do now is take some glue and just stick the scarf down a little bit permanent there so it's not flying away in the wind. So we'll just put a little bit of glue there on the bottom to hold the scarf in place. And we'll put this one right on top of it. Just makes for a little bit neater look with your scarf hanging down there. Now, it's looking pretty cute. I think the only thing that this little snowman may need now is some type of embellishment on the hat. Now, Dollar Tree carries these sticker snowflakes, but I kind of like this one. I've always told you guys I really like my buttons from Joann. I think Michael sometimes carries them too in the bigger cities, but if you just snip this back off, then that's a great little embellishment there for the snowman. So I want to do this. I'm going to put this there on the center of the hat. And another thing I thought might be cute is if we take those snowballs and just make a place right across the hat there out of those snowballs. So I'm going to get those. We'll put those right across the hat, and then we'll snip the back of this off and put that on. All we'll need then is a hanger for our snowman, because this will be an ornament. Now I never know if some of you are watching for the first time or if you've seen my videos before. So just quickly I'm going to show you how I like to attach the little snowballs here. I've showed them in my videos before, but not everyone, you know, watches every video, and this may be your first time here. So I will show you exactly how I like to place these. I use my tweezers and I get the little snowball. Then I make my glue dot and just attach that snowball right on. Doesn't need a lot of glue. And it just sticks right there. Now I'm going to go on, Put it the rest of the way across. You can actually even just put it on the snowball if you want. Don't need much at all. Let's put it side by side. Work your way over. And finally, here's that button. You just want to put your scissors in the button that way right there. Then you want to cover that over and just snip that back right off. And if you don't get it quite flat enough for your liking, which it's going to be okay because we're putting it into this foam, so we'll be able to mash it down. But you could, if you have any extra left over after clipping it, you could come in with your blade and just shear that right off and make it flat. But for this project, it's not going to matter because, like I said, we're putting it right down into the foam. So we'll put our glue on the back. Just push that right down into the foam. Well, the only other thing our little snowman ornament needs is a hanger. We'll put a hanger on the back. And we could not forget the clothespin snowman. So we've just got a snowman factory going on today. You've seen this many times before. It's just a little craft clothespin there. And the reason that I thought of this craft clothespin is because I have this little snowman hat. It came from some garland that I had gotten from, I want to say, Hobby Lobby or Joann's after the season. And the little hat was stuck there on the snowman. I've got a whole garland full of them. So I thought, well, why don't I just take one of those little hats off and use it as a snowman hat right here on this little clothespin. How cute is that? So the first thing I want to do is cover this whole clothespin in our white paint. We'll stick to our regular Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. Get that painted. Now there are two different ways you can use this snowman. You can either paint on this as the front, or you can paint on the full side as the front. I prefer to paint down the full side of the snowman as the front. So to do the face of our snowman, it's going to be very tiny. So I'll be using a black Sharpie, fine tip, and an orange for the face. Just going to draw some eyes, a nose that's orange, and then some dots for the mouth. Pretty simple and very tiny. So the snowman is complete. At least his face is complete. So as you can see there, I used the permanent markers and the fine tip. Put a little face there on the snowman. His nose is just a triangle. Everything else are just dots. Very simple and very easy to do. Now we're ready to put his hat on his head, unless we want to do anything else to this hat. The hat is kind of plain. Maybe we should dress it up a little bit. But I know for a fact, since this hat has a hole in the top, I do want to run the hanger through the hole. I don't normally like for the hooks on my ornaments to show, but in this case I think it's going to be fine. So maybe the color that we choose will depend on what color scarf we decide to tie around our snowman, or what kind of buttons we decide to give the snowman. So I found some pretty white ribbon with some snowflakes on it. I think would be cute with the black hat and the red band, if we choose to keep that band on there. So maybe this red string would be perfect for our hanger. So we'll put the gold, the red and white striped, and the regular Christmas hook away, and we'll actually use this red as our hanger color. So first, let's do our snowman's little scarf. It doesn't need to be really big. We could actually give him a little bit of character and dovetail the end of the ribbon. That's where you just fold your ribbon in half then you just cut a little dovetail in it. You might need to put it on him before we put it on the other side because it doesn't need to be very long. So let's go ahead and put the ribbon around his neck. Well, this is going to be our scarf. Put that around the little snowman's neck. So we can dovetail that other side. And all we have to do is just tack that scarf down exactly where we want it to go. So put the little hook there in that hole in the top of the hat, just knotted it underneath and secured it with a little bit of glue. So if you watched any of my videos, you'll know that I do craft on the fly, which means I'll go in one direction, then I'll change my mind because I think of something else. So I did complete the hook here on the little hat, and I do like that shiny red ribbon on there, which made me think I don't like this white ribbon so much. So I got to looking further in my stash, and I had this cute bow, and I thought this is the perfect band to go there around the hat, as well as to create a scarf around the snowman's neck. So I'm going to remove this white and use this around the hat and as a scarf. Okay, so we're going to put a little dab of glue here on the hat. I don't think the hat has a front or a back, so we'll just put a little dab of glue there so we can start this pretty red ribbon going around. Then take that right on around the hat and attach it. And I think that's going to look a lot better than the painted strip that was on there. And now we just need to take our snowman and tie his scarf around his neck. Now as I disassembled that bow, I noticed that they had punched holes in it where they attached it. So we're going to try to make this work and still be able to use the ribbon and not necessarily have a problem with the holes. So right there, I'm going to cross it right where that first hole is. I'm going to put a little bit of glue, cross that over right there, and then bring this one over right on top of it. And you would never know that there was a hole there. I just need to cut it to the length that I want it. There we go. I don't know, maybe that one's a little bit too long. A little bit shorter. There we go. Now, let's get that hat on that snowman's head. I think that's cute right there. Let's put a little bit of glue inside. And we do have a back side of the hat now where our seam met, so we want to make sure and just put that on the snowman with the seam in the back. Now, I think the only thing that this snowman needs is some cute little buttons going down the front there, and he's going to be ready to go. Now, since the snowman is a little flashy, got a flashy red ribbon around the hat, a flashy hanger, and a flashy scarf, let's just keep the flashy going and put some flashy red buttons right down the front of our snowman. So I think maybe we should get probably 4, and we'll place them right down the front of the snowman. Now the thing I like about the Dollar Tree gems is that they're already sticky, and when you pull them off, they're even stuck together, so the spacing is perfect on them. So you just peel that right back, decide where you want it on your snowman, and just place it right down. Sure we got it straight. Or push it all the way down. And there you have it. I like this snowman a whole bunch. I hope you do too. Here they all are, our Winter Wonderland friends. I hope if you find yourself being snowed in or it's just too cold to go out, that you may be inspired to make a couple of these. They're so much fun. I enjoyed crafting with you today, and until next time, so long.